We are moms who are pouring ourselves into our children every hour of every day. We are grandmothers who are also playing the role of primary caretaker. We are moms who are waiting to have children and trying our best to see the struggle through the eyes of God. We are moms who are learning the challenges of a blended family. We are moms in the workplace who are trying our best to balance competing expectations and demands. We are moms with adult children who are leaving our homes to pursue their own dreams. For packing lunches late at night. For cleaning out their backpacks, then filling them again. For offering gentle guidance to your own grown children. For becoming taxi drivers and appointment schedulers. For making sure the right baby doll is in their arms before they go to sleep. For helping them pay back their student loans. For cleaning and sterilizing and cooking. For doing their laundry and his laundry and our laundry. For praying and loving and forgiving and falling down and rising to your feet again. For the mom who is overworked and exhausted. For the mom who seems to spend 1,000,000 hours on 1,000,000 little things. For the mom who pours Jesus into her family as best she can. And God himself not only celebrates what you do, but rejoices over the uniqueness of who you are. You are seen, and you are loved without limits. Welcome to Mother's Day.
Good morning. If you don't know me, I am married to our creative arts pastor, Bryden. We have 3 beautiful girls. We have a 20-year-old Emily, and then a 9-year-old Alexiana, and a 2-year-old Isabella. We spread them out super thin so we could have children forever. Um, so, um, so how many in this room like to be seen? Okay, there's less this time. Come on, y'all. With today being Mother's Day, I have the most mom story ever. I couldn't think of what I wanted to say to open it, and last week it happened. So the week before church, me and Bryden were sick all week. We had an upper respiratory. It was horrible. We came on Sunday, we sang, we felt a little better, but we were both exhausted. I think he had to go work. I came home after we ate, and the baby had fell asleep. Thank you, Jesus. So I laid her down in her room, and she actually stayed asleep this time. Lexi wanted to go swim with her friend next door, so I was like, yes, bye. And then I fell asleep. Mid-nap, I can see it now, I had slobber coming out of my mouth, and my phone vibrates. And I was like, who is calling me? I'm going to look at it just to make sure, and it's Alexiana. So I was like, okay, what's wrong? She's at the pool. Did she drown? I have no clue. So I picked it up. And I hear, hi, Mommy. Hey, I'm half asleep still. Hey, you okay? Everything okay? Yes, I'm fine. Watch me do this backflip. Okay. Here, Miss Ashley, hold my iPad. Miss Ashley's like, okay, I didn't know I was going to be a videographer today. Here. And she does a backflip, and it was a 10 out of 10. It was a very good backflip. Okay, yes, in the pool. I was like, okay, well, I'm going to go back to sleep. I love you. Love you too. And I realized at that moment that she just wanted to be seen by me. And I'm thankful that I picked up the phone call to see her, because it was a really good backflip. And it makes me think, because my brother's here now, and growing up, he was always the one that wanted to be seen. No, I'm just kidding. It was definitely me. And we would we would go to my parents' friend's house, and they'd be playing cards or whatever they were doing. I don't care what time it was, but I would come out, and I would say, hey, can I sing for everybody? Let me sing for everybody. And I always sang, Don't Take the Girl, if you know it. I'm not singing it for you now. Look it up. It's great. And I would be like, please let me sing. I just wanted to be seen. And they were like, leave us alone. We're trying to be adults. And so I would go back into the room and, go play with the other kids. But it just made me think about how much, even as adults, we still want to be seen. We have this innate feeling in our heart. And it may not be for attention, but you just want to know that someone gets you or gets what you're going through. And it kind of models after our Father in heaven, who wanted to be seen and known as well. Because in Proverbs 8:17 it says, I love those who love me, and those who seek me find me. He wants to be seen too by us. So there is a great quote by Gary Burge. It says, we have forgotten that we read the Bible as foreigners, as visitors who have traveled not only to a new geography, but a new century. We are literary tourists who are deeply in need of a guide. Context in the Bible is amazing, and there's so many times that I have to take off my 21st century American culture, pretty entitled mindset, because I see things in the Bible and I'm like, there's no way that would fly in my household, because, And the story we're going to talk about today is one of those moments that I had to go. The first time I read it, I got a little annoyed with the one that was actually hurt. And it's a story about an Egyptian slave girl who encountered God at a very low moment in her life. It occurs in Genesis chapter 16. And it's in the middle of the story about Abram and his wife Sarai. God has given Abram a covenant, and they're going to have the offspring that outnumber the stars. I always hear that in Mufasa's voice. But he's going to make a great nation of Abram. So we're going to go to chapter 16. It's 10 years later after that covenant has been made. Sarai is getting a little old, and that sky is looking a little dark because there's no babies. And she has gotten impatient. She did what none of us would do, and she decided to take things into her own hands. So she offered her servant, Hagar, to her husband to act as a surrogate, basically, to create that nation. This was a very desperate time for Sarai. And I remember the first time I read it, I was like, yeah, there ain't no way on God's green earth that I would ever do that. I still wouldn't, but I had to take those glasses off and I had to look at it as her desperate move. And Hagar would have really not had an option in the choice. It would have just been, this is what you're doing. So we're going to start at verse 4 in chapter 16. He slept with Hagar and she became pregnant. When she saw that she was pregnant, her mistress became contemptible to her. Then Sarai said to Abram, you are responsible for my suffering. Is she though? Because it was her idea. I put my slave in your arms, and when she saw that she was pregnant, I became contemptible to her. May the Lord judge between me and you. Abram replied to Sarai, here, your slave is in your power. Do whatever you want with her. Then Sarai mistreated her so much that she ran away from her. It is important that the word mistreated used here is the same word whenever they were talking about the Israelites being mistreated by the Egyptians. So it would have been bad. So she ran away from the abusive situation, and God met her in that desert. Going back to chapter 16, we're going to do verse 9. It says, the angel of the Lord said to her, go back to your mistress and submit to her authority. Probably not what she wanted to hear. The angel of the Lord said to her, I will greatly multiply your offspring, and they will be too many to count. The angel of the Lord said to her, you have conceived, and you will have a son. You will name him Ishmael, for the Lord has heard your cry of affliction. This man will be wild like a donkey. His hand will be against everyone, and everyone's hand will be against him. He will settle near all his relatives. So she named the Lord who spoke to her, you are El Roi. First she said, in this place, have I actually seen the one who sees me? Then that is why the well is called Beer Lahai Roi. It is between Kadesh and Bered. El Roi means the God who sees me. Beer Lahai Roi means the well, the living one who sees me. Even more important in this verse is that it was a woman who gave God this name, El Roi. A woman, a foreigner, a slave, a concubine, a surrogate, a runaway. Not quite the Old Testament resume for possessing exclusive naming rights for the God of the universe. She was alone, she was afraid, she was abandoned, and she was abused. Her meeting with the living God did not completely change her situation, but it changed her heart. Knowing that God saw her situation and her future gave her strength to return to Sarai and Abram and give birth to that son. Being seen by God was not fearful to her. She wasn't afraid. Instead, she felt blessed by his presence. She said, "I've seen the one who sees me." And the word translates to understand or experience. To be seen by God means more than a visual encounter. For God to see means he gets you. The need to be seen throbs in our hearts because to be seen by God means we're valuable to him. He knows what you need. He understands us because he sees what we're going through. And although God didn't remove Hagar out of her terrible situation after that first encounter, in fact, he told her to go back to Sarah and Abraham. The God who sees you does not always deliver you from difficulty. But he did give her hope, and he gave her strength to go back, and he promised a future for her son. And that's all she really wanted. It said, "I will increase your descendants so much that they will be too numerous to count." So it makes me think, if you don't know, about 5 years ago, Bryden and I were pregnant with a son, Everett. And at 19 weeks, we had a rupture of fluids, and in the end, we ended up losing him about 19 and a half weeks. It was probably the deepest grief that I've ever felt through my life, because thankfully I do have most of my family, but it was a very hard time. And the days, the weeks, the months, even the years that passed after that time, I still felt that grief. But knowing that God saw me and was right next to me through it all, it made me feel seen. And it gave me the strength to move forward. It gave me the strength to still have faith. And it gave me a peace to know that it would be used to his good. And so any situation that you're going through can be used to his good no matter what it is, negative or positive. So years later, God met Hagar again. This time she was brokenhearted again. The promised baby Isaac had been born, and Abraham and Sarah were ecstatic. Sarah told Abraham to send Hagar and Ishmael away, and God told him to go ahead and do that, and so he did. He sent them with a thing of water into the desert. The water ran out, and now she was brokenhearted again because she knew she could not provide for her son. She set him under a tree, and she sat somewhere else because she didn't want to watch her son die. And she went there, and the God who saw her the first time saw her again. And the angel of the Lord opened her eyes once more to provision. That was a well that was right there to give her son water. How many times have I not seen the provision that was right in front of me, and all I needed to do was ask Elroy to open my eyes? If you haven't already, go back and read the rest of that story. Spoiler alert, she's no longer a slave anymore. So, not too many centuries later, after Hagar encountered the living God who sees, another rejected woman met the incarnate Elroy. We don't know her name, but we do know where she lived and how many men she had married. She is the Samaritan woman. Jesus sat by the well outside a Samaritan village at just the right time to meet this desperate woman right where she was. The fact that Jesus knew exactly what time of day she would be there, because other women wouldn't be there at that time, knew that he would see this ostracized woman and be able to speak to her, knew that he was Elroy. So she comes up, and in John 4:7, we start with a woman of Samaria came to draw water. "Give me a drink," Jesus said to her, because his disciples had gone into town to buy food. "How is it that you, a Jew, ask me for a drink from me, a Samaritan woman?" She asked him, "For Jews do not associate with Samaritans." Jesus answered, "If you knew the gift of God and who is saying to you, 'Give me a drink,' you would ask him and he would give you living water." "Sir," said the woman, "you don't even have a bucket, and this well is deep. So where do you get this living water from? You aren't greater than our father Jacob, are you?" "He is. He gave us the well and drank from it himself, and as did his sons and livestock." It's easy to point fingers at this woman that was married 5 times, but Jesus, Elroy, chose her. He chose her to be the first evangelist of Samaria. Jesus saw through the toughened exterior and saw the heart of a woman who just wanted to be loved and seen, a woman desperately awaiting the Messiah and seeking true worship. That's who Elroy saw. He did not shame her. He did not scold her. He offered her living water, and he gave her a new purpose. Her circumstances didn't change immediately, but her heart did. After meeting Elroy in flesh, this woman ran back to the village to bring others to the God who sees. In 4:29, she says, "Come see a man who told me everything I have ever did." Could this be the Messiah? I can just hear the excitement in her voice running through the town to tell people that. Being seen by Jesus gave her value, joy, and purpose. We are fully known, yet fully loved. I know we put fully known and fully loved, but I think of all the things that I've done in my life, and God knows every one of them, but he still loves me regardless, and I'm so thankful for that. In Psalms 139, it says, "Your eyes saw me when I was formless. All my days were written in your book and planned before a single one of them began." Even when you can't hear him or feel him, we can trust he's watching and he knows what we're going through. I'm here to tell you that you're not invisible. And a few of you need to want to be seen. So he knows, he sees your difficult job. He sees your loveless marriage. He sees your empty arms. He sees your relapse. He sees your broken heart. The living God sees you. He knows your grief, frustration, and pain. And he knows your heart. Seek him today. I'm going to close in reading Psalms 121. I found this last night, so they don't have that, sorry. "I lift my eyes towards the mountains. Where will my help come from? My help comes from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth. He will not allow your foot to slip. Your protector will not slumber. Indeed, the protector of Israel does not slumber or sleep. The Lord protects you. The Lord is a shelter right by your side. The sun will not strike you by day or the moon by night. The Lord will protect you from all harm. He will protect your life. The Lord will protect your coming and going, both now and forever." And close in prayer. God, you see all of our desperate moments and situations. You know the desert place that we may be walking through right now. The dry, rejected, lonely place that we sit. You are the God who sees us, and if the answer to our problem is right in front of us, please allow us to see that provision that you have provided. Open our eyes. Thank you for seeing us, knowing us, and still loving us despite our rough edges and our hardened heart. Fill us with your living water that you offered to that Samaritan woman that day. And give us an eternal purpose today. In your name we pray. Amen.